The morning sun was barely cresting over the rooftops when I opened my front door to a trio of strangers who looked like they'd raided a tactical gear clearance sale. The leader, a wiry guy with a clipboard and a sneer that screamed overcompensation, called himself Mitch. His backup included a smirking punk I'll call Kyle, and a third guy, Brody, who stood there flexing like he was on a casting call for a low-budget action flick. "Mr. Harlan," Mitch said, his voice dripping with fake authority, "you're in violation of HOA Code 7, unauthorized possession of firearms within community limits." I froze, not out of fear, but because the words didn't add up. HOA? My neighborhood didn't have one. I bought this house specifically to avoid that kind of nonsense. Mitch flashed a badge that looked like it came from a dollar store Halloween bin. "We'll need you to surrender your weapons voluntarily." Something in my gut twisted. I don't raise my voice, it's not my style, but I've cleared rooms in seconds when things get dicey. These guys weren't cops. They weren't even good actors. This was an op, and they'd picked the wrong porch to pull it on. I played dumb, forcing a smile. "Mind waiting here a sec, fellas?" I stepped inside, not for paperwork, but for my tablet, linked to the exterior cams I'd set up after a sketchy break-in nearby last year. I also grabbed a pin I'd hollowed out to hide a tiny my cold habits from rougher days. On the feed, I watched them huddle, whispering, Kyle texting furiously while glancing around like he expected a SWAT team to rappel from the clouds. That's when I clocked their ride, a matte black SUV, no plates, parked 2 blocks down. I'd seen it earlier on my morning run, blending into the scenery like a predator waiting to pounce. I hit record on everything: audio, video, the works. When I stepped back out, I handed Mitch a blank sheet of paper with a grin. "Mind showing me those credentials again?" He squinted, annoyed. "We already did." "Cool," I said, leaning in. "Because I just checked with the HOA, which doesn't exist here, and they've never heard of you." Brody stepped forward, chest puffed, like that was supposed to rattle me. "You sure you want to make this difficult?" I didn't blink. "Buddy, this is me making it easy." Kyle, the phone guy, turned away, mouthing some thinga name, a code. They weren't alone. I let them walk, nodding like we were done. Step on my property again, and we're having a different kind of chat. They strutted off, thinking they'd won, but I was already pulling their SUV's details from the cam feed: make, model, a dent on the rear bumper. I wasn't calling the cops. I was calling their bluff. 10 minutes later, I was in my old Tacoma, hoodie swapped for a ball cap, a GoPro rigged under the dash. I tailed them, staying loose, like I was back in Kandahar running recon. They didn't check their 6 amateur hour. They wove through 2 neighborhoods, looped a strip mall, then pulled into a rundown industrial park behind a self-storage joint. I parked half a block away, zooming in with a lens. That's when it got weird. A fourth guy, older, bald, dressed like he flunked out of car sales school, met them, handing over a folder and a stack of cash, like this was some back alley deal. I caught it all on camera. This wasn't just about me. These clowns were running a scam, posing as HOA muscle to shake down homeowners, targeting folks they thought wouldn't push back. They didn't count on me. For 2 days, I went ghost. I tracked that SUV, watching them hit more houses: a single mom, an elderly couple, a guy in a wheelchair who looked like he hadn't left his porch in weeks. They weren't random. They picked easy marks, people who wouldn't question a fake compliance notice or had no one to back them up. It was an extortion ring, plain and simple, and they were after more than money. They wanted to disarm people, using fear and fake badges to strip away rights. That hit personal. Firearms aren't just tools to me. They're part of who I am, forged in years of training and moments where they saved lives, mine included. Seeing them target an old vet down the block, shaking as he clutched their bogus notice, flipped a switch. This wasn't about my house anymore. It was about every door they'd knocked on. I built a case, screenshots, license plates, side-by-side comparisons of their fake notices versus real HOA docs. They even screwed up their own script. One called it Code 7B, another Violation 14C. Sloppy, but dangerous. I set a trap: hidden cams in the porch light, a flower bed, even a tacky lawn gnome I bought for the angle. I slapped a decoy notice on my door to bait them back. They returned on Thursday, sun high, kids biking nearby, thinking they had me. Mitch strutted up, same fake badge, same sneer, slipping a final notice with a laughable court seal under my door. They leaned into my ring cam. "You've been warned. Comply, or we escalate." I nearly laughed. "Escalate?" I wrote the book on escalation. I waited till they were blocks away, then tailed them back to their hideout. This time, I wasn't just watching. I parked across from the industrial lot, gloves on, hat low, GoPro rolling, tablet streaming every feed from my house to a private cloud. Then I hit send. Every clip, every photo, fake badges, threats, shaking down neighbors went to a local watchdog group, some veteran buddies in security, and a few reporters who'd eat this alive. For kicks, I emailed the scammers, using a burner address I'd scraped from their fake notice. Subject: smile, you're live. 5 minutes later, chaos erupted inside their building. Mitch stormed out, yelling into his phone. Bald guy tossed a box into the SUV like he was torching evidence. One of them scanned the sky for drones. Not yet, pal. They peeled out, and I followed. No subtlety now. They blew lights, doubled back, thinking they were slick. They didn't know I had 2 Marine buddies in their own cars, boxing them loose. We herded them into a cul-de-sac dead end. I parked sideways, stepped out slow, tablet glowing. I held it up, their faces frozen on the screen, threatening me, scamming neighbors, taking envelopes. Game's over, I said. Mitch's jaw dropped. You like picking on folks who can't fight back? I flipped through the footage like a slideshow of their sins. Extortion, fraud, impersonating officials. Guess where that lands you? Bald guy tried to bluff. This won't hold up in court. I smirked. Don't need court. I need viral. The footage was already spreading local Facebook groups, neighborhood forums, a subreddit that devours scams. Comments exploded. Then the real heat arrived. Not cops' neighbors. First was Mrs. Clara, a grandma they'd threatened, stepping out of her Corolla in Crocs and a "don't tread on me" poodle yapping at her side. She marched up, glaring at Baldy. You told me my husband's service weapon was illegal. He fought at Normandy. You ever fight a parking ticket? Another car pulled up, then another. Soon, a crowd surrounded the cul-de-sac, phones out, voices rising. A mom they'd hit with a fake child endangerment notice read their garbage aloud like she was on a courtroom drama. Someone brought popcorn. No lie. Neither did you. Baldy played victim. We were just following orders. The crowd wasn't buying it. A Vietnam vet in a faded jacket stepped up, voice low. Try taking a man's rights again. You better bring more than a clipboard. Applause erupted. Then sirens. A deputy, tipped off by the live stream, recognized Mitch from another fraud case. He watched my footage, turned to Mitch, and said, impersonating an official's a felony here. Cuffs clicked. The crowd roared. Someone yelled, from what? Misaligned mailboxes. Clara's poodle barked like it was pronouncing sentence. 2 days later, the neighborhood threw a block party on chairs, burgers, a bouncy castle for the kids. A sign read scammers, 0, neighbors, 1. The vet got a new security system, donated by strangers who were now friends. Clara runs the group chat like a general with emoji flair. I clipped the footage and posted it online, not for clout, but to warn others. Fake authority thrives on silence. Push back, and you'd be amazed what a few cams and good neighbors can do. Those scammers? Probably regretting their life choices from a cell right now. And if they're watching, I've got backups. So, next time someone in a knockoff vest demands your rights, record everything. Maybe grab a gnome cam. Trust me, it's a game changer.